I had 1 hour talk with my friend. I've known him for the last 40 years, and we've been exchanging the ideas back and forth. We start to work in the similar area of business, but we are always separate. For some reason, we have connected. All the books and videos that I produce, I send to him, get the comment. Every now and then, we talk over the phone. A meeting, but he was in Boston, so it was not easy. But it's good to have someone like him to have a friend so that you can triangulate, so to speak, how I'm living and going through my life and the work relationship as much as he does the same, and we compare notes. And I have multiple people like that, and sometimes people change, but Fred is the one I kept checking back and forth. About 40 years ago, we get to know each other. And we had the similar taste of certain issues about the lean production to the production system, waste elimination process. So that became a major focus for him and for me. And I added other issues to the plate and wrote books, and I helped him update it. So the point of this video is about finding the passage into the future. And from that experience and other issues that I had with the computer solving the problem, triggered me to want to synthesize, put the words around that to capture the essence of what I have learned. I'm 73 going 74 and still learning every day, more than once. But to keep on adding the good habit is my habit. And get rid of the bad habit is not easy, but I need to work on it. Therefore, lots of videos are one of the means to reinforce certain good habit and to forget about and de-emphasize, find a way to de-emphasize the bad habits. So this video is in a similar category. One of the idea I have posted and now want to talk about is comparing life to driving a car. In driving a car, if you are so used to the car, you can hear the sound of the engine and start to know what is right and wrong, what gear is appropriate, and if you're doing too much, maybe you change the gear, or even stop and take a nap or go backward. So living life is similar to that, depending upon the ground level, what's going on, how busy the street is, what's interesting. You go to the right or left or up or down, gear 1, 2, 3, 4, and then or drive or going down, depending upon the circumstance. And hopefully you don't hit the car or fall into the ditch or fall asleep or any of that. And over many years of driving, as much as living life, you have many examples of how close call you had here and there. And luckily enough, I have driven my car fairly well, also in business. And it turned out Fred shared the same experience for the last 40 years. So we compared notes and how similar we are, and we found out one of the common ground that we share is that we have the sense of not to be interested in money or fame or anything. It's not that important. We had the sense of so to speak, listening to the heart. And if it doesn't make sense, then I stay out of it. And I think Fred had the very similar sense. And we are almost stubborn that we don't want to bend too much so that we keep our spirit in the direction that we find meaningful and interesting, having fun. And if something starts to violate that sense of the fun or energy level that requires, then in my case, I stay out of that, work or any situation. So work is the main focus, but I think it may apply to other area, having fun or relationship or health. or financial situation, so that you try to maintain certain level of satisfaction, which may be measured by this waku-waku idea, the sense of aliveness. And we are very honest to listen to that. My word related to that is be sincere and truthful, to be who we are, as much as this sense of waku-waku would indicate us like a gyroscope, so that once it starts to, stall the engine or change, you cannot change the gear or change or move into a certain direction with the steering wheel, then you stay quiet and then assure that what we are doing makes sense. So life is such that there are lots of opportunities that we can make mistake. And like one point I mentioned to Fred was that it's important to have the idea of inversion that Charlie Munger talked about, the investor. The work on Toyota production system or lean is related to waste elimination. And there's a similarity, which I share with Fred, that inversion is the same way. And what it is like a process of elimination. As you learn the process to get better, and if you find the problem, then cross out that answers that may cause that problem or incorrect. Therefore, you don't repeat the mistake. So that the focus is on the remaining issues, remaining ideas, remaining areas that we can focus on, so that we can keep eliminating the danger or the sense of a lack of waku-waku when we have the problem. So once we have it, you stay out of it. So in my case, that was exactly the case of working with the client. And if I lose the interest, not to say I'm bored or anything, but I do my part of the work. And if there's a disconnect that things don't happen, then I start to feel that this engine is not running well because of the level of interface or the counter of the ground or the issue that is out there versus my skill level or so forth. So if there's a lack of engagement, the connection with the people and the vision and approaches, then I stay out of it. And him being independent, me independent most of the time, I had a little company along the way, that kept us very honest to that sense and live our life where we do think it makes sense to contribute and find the work relating to the people who may share the views and connect and enjoy the process, so that the waku-waku sense is to be developed, mutually satisfying and having fun. And I have one client that I worked 6-7 years, and then this is a huge company, conglomerate, many operations around the world. But once I get to a certain level and things start to happen and happening, then I want to expand. But if that doesn't happen, then what's the point of traveling around the world to keep on doing, even though they may give me lots of money? It just doesn't matches with my principle, sincere, honest, and find the things that I like, and the energy flows with the people. So it may be said that not just a feeling, but we use our brain to figure out the direction with rational way, eliminating the waste, and agreeing to move on together as a team, so that the process is very organic instead of prescribed all the steps from the brain point of view, but rather also related to the human interaction, energy level, flow, and sharing the vision and enjoying the process. So being independent is much easier to find such a platform, and I went through that process as much as he did do that. And I realized that this process is maybe connected to what I like about Zen. Zen is internally focused about your energy level and cleaning up so that the blockage is gone, so that the energy and or the waste of what you create is going to be less, and therefore you enjoy the process. Brain feels comfortable and body feels happy with this waku-waku sense of it, as well as interaction with people to find the destiny together, to work together. So lots of unknowns. To have such environment may not be so simple, but over time, going through this 40 years or so, in my case, as much as Fred's case, we have kept that discipline and we found that it's a very satisfactory way of living. And one of the cases that Fred mentioned was that when he was with a partner, at the beginning, this partner was more brain-oriented to rationalize lots of things, and that put him a little bit off because he is more of a my area, intuitive, visionary, connection, but not too much emphasis in the brain part of the analysis. The analysis has to be done jointly and collectively, involving people, creating something together, not one to say to the other what is the way to do. I think we had that sense, and that's also is the way of learning, not just by myself. That's why I talk with a bunch of people. What stimulates you? What interests you? How you make the progress? What's the background? And how did you make that happen? And usually people enjoy sharing those. And if you have accumulated lots of bases like that from different people, then I can also triangulate, depending upon the situation, for myself as well as for my engagement with the surroundings of what to do. If it doesn't work, then switch the gear. Maybe you need to put it in neutral, and you may have to, or I may have to, stay quiet, connecting to the root. That's the part of the meditation, and finding the connection to the root, where the source of energy is found, and that is to be processed within myself. There's no blockage in terms of what is feasible, and then process it in the environment we live in. At work, we can do it. With the relationship, we can do it. If work doesn't work, you may find a solution by more research or just stay out of work. And if you're disciplined like that, it's almost like a Zen monk. You want to be awakened, achieve how you can live the destiny, find the destiny, and be able to feel truly engaged from the core of your being. So that is the sensation of the sense, or the waku-waku sense, that the Fred and I may have shared, although we are different people, different culture background, nationality, and all of that. But we had the sense of being alone, so to speak, but disciplined to pursue the dream. It just turned out that it has worked for the 40 years. It may not be for everyone, but that is the self-managing process too. And this discussion is fairly generic, whether it is related to work or not, or even driving a car or living your life's journey. When and why you do things, from the neutral to gear and accelerate and turning right or left and aim for certain things, and you may fail here and there, learn the lesson, eliminate the cause of the problem, and the process gets streamlined, and then keep on to the left or right, and if you go too much, then you come back and you go to the other direction and you may fail. Then you learn the intuitive sense of how you're navigating, not just the brain and the data, but also internal process, but also related to all the data point, the references that we get from the life's experience, from the books, YouTube, or personal interaction. More database and more connection we can have, and more we can do this triangulation, multiple triangulation we can do, have less chance of making a failure while you listen to your heart. So those are the basic principles. And I think maybe I just add one more thing, which is after the talk I was going through some of the paperwork, and then there was a problem of a mailbox in one computer doesn't match with the other mailbox, and it doesn't make sense because it has to be synchronized from the cloud, but something went wrong. So certain information I was trying to get one computer, I couldn't find it. Eventually I found there may be something to do with the other computer or anything of that nature. And after finding it, what caused that was actually, I don't know how I found it. Anyway, the idea popped up. Maybe I didn't have the same updating, the software update at the same time. So that's what I'm working out. So there are lots of possibilities of the error, but the process of elimination and not rushing, but listening to your heart and go through this PDCA and Sila Samadhi process, which is the same as making a mistake or learning and then keep on driving the car, changing the gear, and when things are not connected, you feel, then you may need to connect to the root of your being. So those are the elements that I thought I should capture it for my own sake, and if there's anyone who can listen and understand, I'll be happy to share this because this is part of the clarification process of how I navigate my life. And this process never ends, and I may be a slow learner, but I want to be sincere, truthful, learning and finding what's good, bad, what I have learned, what captured, and then how to use it, whether it's the work or relationship or computer problem. And I have two computers, by the way, because I'm in a remote situation that I didn't want to take a risk of one computer going down. But having two computers caused the problem. The world is making me to live more complex life, to have two computers, have to be updated the same way, while I may move different countries from A to B, and then filing the tax in a different way of filing. And the life gets complex, and I have to simplify my life. And that's another thing. While on one end, I want to drive this car, the life, the way I want, but I'm also sensitive as to the limitations. And then keep on focusing so that I can enjoy riding this ride of living life, while I can help others and share the progress and have fun. So let me keep working, and if you can get some insight out of it, I'll be most happy for that. Thank you.